How many times in your life are you going to get to go up to Laguna Seca and ride on the track? Since I wasn't able to make it to MotoGP this year, I still wanted to catch some racing, so I decided to check out one of the rounds of the US National Series. Those bikes go plenty fast enough to get your racing fix in. Now, the closest round to LA is the Laguna Seca round, which is up in the Monterey Bay, a couple of hours south of San Francisco. And that's a little over 300 miles from LA. After my road trip to Texas, that's going to be a breeze. Now, of course, I'm going to take the V4. Now that I have the heat shielding on it, I know this time at least, I'm not going to get burned if the weather is hot. Now, Google Maps says it takes about 5 hours to get up there. But with gas stops and stopping to get something to eat, I planned on about 6.5 hours before I checked in the hotel. As far as what I packed, I brought basically the same things that I brought to Texas. I'll link to my packing video below, with a couple of exceptions. I bought a new motorcycle cover, which is lighter and packs down smaller in my backpack. And based on a viewer recommendation who also rides a V4 and knows firsthand the kind of heat that these bikes kick off, I bought myself a pair of Under Armour heat gear to wear under my pants. They market this base layer as keeping you cool on hot days, so I thought it was perfect to try out with the V4 on this little trip up north. So the plan was to take a half day Friday, leave early afternoon, and be up there before sunset. Of course, my job had other ideas, and I could not break away early, so I didn't get on the road until late Friday afternoon. A late start as usual. Now, the trip up there was mostly uneventful, but there was this one stretch as I was coming down from the hills surrounding the LA basin and into the Central Valley, which is a part of the state that's known for farmland. I was hitting that area right at dusk, and the bugs were out in full force. I would describe it as apocalyptic, the amount of bugs that were in the air. And as I pulled over to get gas, I could barely see out of my visor. I have never been bombarded by so many bugs in all my life. And I gotta wonder, what are these people with open face helmets doing? Like, how many bugs are you eating in the course of that stretch? I cannot imagine doing that ride with that kind of helmet. So after I took a break to wash all those bugs off my helmet and camera, I got back on the road up to the Monterey Bay. Thankfully, by then, the bugs had chilled out and they weren't nearly as active as they were at dusk. And there were no more dramas for the ride all the way up. But I was reminded that riding at night can be a little boring. You can't see any of the scenery at night. It's just darkness, so it's not all that interesting. And finally, a little before midnight, I roll into the hotel. Now, I would normally not do a hotel room tour because I think they're kind of boring. But I want to make a point here. This is the exterior of the hotel I was staying at. This is my bike, all tucked in safely under the new cover. And this is my hotel room. Okay, pretty basic is maybe a good way to put it. Basic bedroom, decor and bedding, let's just call them vintage. Basic bathroom, nothing fancy. They charged me $240 a night for this room. Now, I've done some traveling around the country, and anywhere in the US, any other small to medium-sized city, this is like $80 to $120 a night motel room. But being in Monterey Bay, one of the most expensive areas in California, $240 a night. Ouch! They really let you have it. Saturday was a cool day. The weather was beautiful, as it normally is in this part of California. So it was an enjoyable ride from the hotel to the racetrack. In fact, if the races weren't going on, this would have been a perfect day to explore the roads around Monterey Bay. So hopefully next time I'm up there, I can carve out some time to do that. They make it worth your while to come out for the Saturday. There was some qualifying, and then there was some racing. And the good thing about the National Series is that you can go all around the track, sit anywhere you want, and you can go into the pits and see them as they're working on the bikes. There is no way you're going to get anywhere close to the bikes in World Superbike or MotoGP unless you're paying for a very expensive VIP ticket. But just your general admission ticket will get you into the pits, and you can be 3 feet away from the teams as they're working on the bikes and setting them up. It's just a super cool experience. Very personal. The riders will come out and talk to people. It's just a totally different vibe. Way more relaxed than MotoGP or World Superbike. And after that pit walk, I headed out for the day. Now for Sunday, I bought a ticket to do the parade lap. So that's where you get to go out and do 1 lap around the track with a zillion other riders on all different kinds of bikes and all different skill levels, just for shits and giggles. I figured, how many times in your life are you going to get to go up to Laguna Seca and ride on the track? They have very few track days now because the neighbors all complain about the noise. And yes, why you would build a fancy house next to a racetrack and then complain that it's too loud and try to get the track shut down is a topic for another video. So I figured, why not take advantage of being up here? I should definitely do the parade lap. And I'm really glad I did because it was quite the experience. All these different bikes, lots of Harleys rumbling all around me, all of us having basically no idea which way the track goes. It was something else, but well worth it, if just to have a chance to do the corkscrew. And before I got back to watching the racing, of course I had to do my usual stroll through the parking lot, because you will see such cool bikes that will come out for events like this that you will never see on your day-to-day riding. Lots of cool customized bikes, of course, but you will see rare bikes like, when's the last time you saw not 1, but 2 RC51s out in the wild? Like, you never see those bikes. So I always make time to do that. And I was not disappointed. So many cool bikes out there. As far as the Sunday racing, it was all pretty awesome. Superbikes, of course, blazingly fast.
BMW is supported by the factory in Germany. That frame was not able to be ridden on, so he's got the original frame he started the season on, and he was still fast and difficult. On the front straightaway we go for the first time. Now you're going to see the BMW.
But the racing on the other support classes was really interesting too. The baggers, which are these huge Harleys and Indians, watching the riders rip down the straight and muscle those bikes around the corners is really wild. But maybe my favorite class besides the superbikes was the Super Hooligan class, which is this crazy class that throws all these different kinds of bikes together. There'll be Harley Pan Americas with KTM 890s, with Ducati Monsters, with Indian flat track bikes, with electric bikes thrown in there. It's just this wild mix of bikes and sounds going around the track at the same time. It's pretty awesome. Now, since I was heading back to LA straight from the track, I cut out from the races mid-afternoon because I wanted to do most of my riding back home during the daylight. Thankfully, there were no dramas for the ride all the way back to LA. Besides the fact that it was summertime in California, and you will almost always come across some random brush fire burning somewhere, otherwise, I got to enjoy some awesome scenery on the ride back. There were these cool rolling hills as you go back into the Central Valley again, and the sun was starting to set, and it was making everything glow this beautiful golden color. Just very scenic. And the V4 ran flawlessly the entire weekend, not so much as a hiccup the entire ride. And that Under Armour base layer suggestion worked like a charm. It's safe to say the heat shielding on the bike plus the Under Armour base layer is the 1-2 punch for really helping shield you from the heat from the V4. The air temperature wasn't that hot, so this may not have been the best test for it, but I barely felt any heat from the bike at all weekend. So I would definitely recommend this combination for all V4 owners out there. and I finally get back home to LA around 10:30 Sunday night. And after not having been up to Laguna Seca for a few years, I thought it was a great race weekend. And that little mini road trip was a great primer for my big end of summer road trip. So stay tuned for that one, and hopefully I will catch you on the next one.